All right, one quick thing. I'm gonna just show you. Um, I'm gonna send you a link to so you can see how the stream is. Just if you want to watch it in the background, just have it on mute. Yeah. All right, bro. You about ready? I'm about to start us off in about 30 seconds. Okay. Yeah. All all right. We're about to get ready to start this thing off. All right, man. I'm feeling good, man. It's been a pretty good week, man. How are you feeling? Uh, all right, man. Yeah. Okay, man. So first, let me introduce myself to everyone. You know, I'm Big Brother Amazing A. Let me kick it off to my brother. Yes, sir. So we got a lot to discuss. Not, it was a crazy game against the Dolphins this past weekend. To be honest, I turned the game off when we were down 17-0. But we managed. Man, listen, yeah, South Carolina State homecoming. Man, I understand how that is, man. But it basically, we just both felt like, we had better things to do, or, just wasn't too focused on the game, especially after the way we started. Because after, I'll say when we down 10-0, I thought the game was over. Then when we got down to 17-0, then I really thought the game over. And like I said, that's when I turned it off. I said, hey, uh, two turnovers. They've already scored twice on both. It's game over. They're not going to come back. But these guys really showed me something. They really showed me something. They managed to actually pull off a win in that game. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So uh, before we jump into maybe the reasons and stuff, right? Let's jump over to the gridiron page. So let me. All right, 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 right. Listen, Carolina Blue, and I had to pull this hat out the closet. Like, hey, okay, now I can actually rep you for maybe, yeah, we can actually rep her for about 2 or 3 games. So the first big thing, man, and that I want us to jump into is the youth movement. So, you know, they're basically after the last game where we lost, um, a big thing is we cut DJ Johnson. I believe the main reason he just wasn't performing and he was blocking uh, more playing time from our rookie pass rushers. And this whole week coming up to this past game, the whole week leading up to that, they kept talking about, we're going to get some more playing time for the young guys, more playing time for the young guys. And Jay, I want you to go over, like, who you think stood out with this extra playing time. Hmm. Right. Hmm. Yeah, man. You know, let me double back. Let me, I guess, jump on with Jimmy Horn Jr. Man, this guy. I feel like fans been begging for him to get some more playing time, and that fourth down catch he had solidified it for me. Like, hey, keep this guy in the game, and that's like keep playing him for the rest of the season. So we got Jimmy Horn. I'm gonna give a shout out to Xavier Leggett. He struggled early. He sat out the past 2 games. And he came back and he actually had a couple good catches, especially one really good catch for a touchdown. So yeah, so shout out to him. Hands catch too. Hands got it. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Me too, man. And and really for what I want us for our wide receivers, uh, I want the wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 to be T Mac, Xavier Leggett, and Jimmy Horn Jr. And yeah. When Coker comes back, we'll throw him in. if he manages to get back, we'll throw him in at number two and number three. For now, uh, keep Jimmy Horn Jr. either at wide receiver three or wide receiver four when Jalen Coker comes back. But we need him like getting snaps over Hunter Renfro. It's I don't think Hunter Renfro is as bad as I guess the stats that would lead you to believe since he's not getting many catches, but he just doesn't have connection with Bryce. So I think we need to look towards the future, especially since our rookies are leading us into some wins and some actual potential. Um, yeah, and hmm yeah, yeah, I hope so too. 'Cause we don't need to rush anyone back, especially right now. And let's see. And I know he's not exactly a young player, but you got to give Rico Dotto a shout out. He basically blew the game open for us, and man, that's an that's another guy. Chuba Hubbard, he's hurt. I hope they don't rush him back, and because we got Rico, he should be hot right now. Like let's let Rico keep getting some burn uh, with playing. But shout out to him. Like I said, we don't come back without Rico Dotto. Yeah, so he and that's and so yeah. And, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, and I need them to have the extra energy for this game coming up. Um, uh, the tight is Mitchell Evans. He scored two touchdowns in the past two games. It seemed like we really like using him in the red zone. I want to see Mitchell Evans get some more burn, especially with Jatavion Sanders still recovering. Uh, I want him to move up to maybe not necessarily tight end one, but I need him to rotate with Tommy Tremble. He needs some more reps because it seems like he knows how to get open and he knows how to score. More importantly, so yeah, yeah, and in the future, uh, I know we're gonna put together episode where we really go over why this most recent draft was, I believe this was a home run, especially compared to a lot of the past drafts. It's been focused on when DJ Johnson got cut. It was a focus on the 2023 draft, and it looks horrible. Looks horrible, and yeah, we listen, listen, we keep it, we keep it 100 Frat House podcast. Man, DJ Johnson, for the longest, we had this trend of second round wide receivers being bust, going all the way back to like, and I'm pretty sure I'm even missing, but like Kerry Colbert, and then Dwayne Jarrett, and even most recently Jonathan Mingo. For a short while, it seemed like under David Tepper era, we've been doing this thing where we reach on athletic linebackers and they flush out immediately. So, hmm hmm yeah, hmm listen, we love to have Dan Connor. And I remember him. Yeah, man. It's just different GM, different scouts, and back then we really liked that Steelers model of having like strong linebackers, and it seemed like our scouts really took their time with the linebackers. So uh, to be honest, I can't even remember back then too many linebackers we missed on. You know, I remember having an argument with somebody online about when we let Shaq Thompson go. I said, I would actually consider James Anderson better than Shaq Thompson. And James Anderson was like, I remember he was basically, I think he only really started with us for like 1 year or two, but he's basically the third linebacker behind what Tom John Beeson and Thomas Davis. I think he was like a yeah, yeah, 2 seasons. hmm Yeah, just 2 seasons. I think. Uh, See, I don't want to include Dan Morgan because he ended up getting hurt, and that's when John Beeson started. So yeah, Big Beast. With him and Thomas Davis, just that collective work with that. I believe that was what, 2007, 2008 seasons. Just those 2 seasons, I think he did much better. I think his high was higher than Shaq Thompson. Yeah, so it's like, Shaq Thompson was sort of Iron Man with us. He played with us for a long time, but he didn't splash like James Anderson. But we drafted. Mhm. It, it, yeah, it, I um I do think there is some of that, but what makes me upset is I think they could have figured that out in preseason. You got two guys that this Trevor Wallace first time getting really starting. He has a lot of responsibility. Rose Boom, he's getting his first real chance for some big starters. We could have figured this out during the preseason. Like, okay, this first game we're gonna try Rose Boom with making the calls. The second game we're gonna try Trevor Wallace. Let's see what who did what well. You know what? Let's try finalizing on the third game. And maybe if we would have done that, we wouldn't. Both of them wouldn't have looked so confused early on, and it would have helped Trevor Wallace try to progress better. So you know, um, yeah, 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 hmm yeah, yeah. I don't think so either. So that's all I was thinking about. I'm glad it worked out. It definitely seems like because Rose Boom splashed a couple times on the screen, and so like I said, yeah. So even if he doesn't play quite as well as this, like this obviously he's more comfortable receiving, like being told the calls instead of trying to make the calls, and it seemed like it helps him play faster. So I'm glad they figured it out. Now it's just it's one of those things. It's like you go back to preseason. It's like could you have figured it out in preseason? That way, a couple of his games, might be a little bit closer. Who knows? And yeah, yeah. hmm and speaking on defense, like I said, shout out to like I said, just the front seven. They really held it down. It's good to see Derek Brown, still, making, doing work. Uh, man, Ashawn Robinson is holding it down beside Derek Brown. I've seen him splash a couple times, and also, mhm. and finally, Pat Jones, him. He came to play as well at linebacker. So like all of them, and I know Mike Jack had yeah, I know Mike Jack has like a little rough game with Jalen Waddle, but I thought the secondary still did all right for the most part. They weren't as clean as they should have been, but I still think they did all right. They changed things up. Another thing I heard is after halftime, we end up putting J.C. Horn on Darren Waller, the tight end, and that they end up helping in the second half. And I think even two of you know, hmm yes. So and what we could have did, man, we could have put J.C. Horn on the tight end to start, and then double Jalen Waddle. They got nobody else, or make somebody else beat us, and you know uh, just making, we make things too hard for no reason. I just, No reason. Just make it hard on ourselves. But let's go next into like the big question mark. Bryce Young. All right, so you got Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. First half, Bryce Young, he uh he was moving a little bit, then fumble, unnecessary fumble. Like that fumble was an ugly fumble. Then you get a chance to you get the ball back. First pass, interception. Ugly interception. Ugly interception. Then it's like, after that, you can't do anything. And and one thing I said in the previously that I want to change my mind, change my thoughts on Dave Canales. Before I was saying, you know, when he's calling plays for Bryce, he has to call like you can't like just take away certain plays from Bryce. You gotta at least dial up some deep shots, even if he can't do it accurately. Like you gotta at least let him try. I renege on all that. So the big thing I learned from this game, and let me start with the good. Let me start with the good. He did help us come back. Okay, Bryce Young did help, so he did nail like the pass. Now you good. Listen, you good, man. And while I do that, please remember to subscribe and like. Uh, so you know, he did nail some passes, some good passes. It was like a good, pass to T Mac that was on third down. He got like the touchdown pass to Mitchell Evans and to Xavier Legette. You know, uh he did come in clutch at the end of the game. Here, here here's my biggest problem with Bryce Young, and this why I go to negative. I think from what I'm seeing now, I think when you think about next season, Bryce Young can't be our starting quarterback. I think I think I think the way I think right now he's way too inconsistent, and I actually think the physical problems aren't the biggest problems. His physical limitations. Yeah, yeah, the height. His arm is very weak. I don't think that's the biggest problem. I think his biggest problem is he's mentally fragile. And it's weird. He's mentally fragile, but he's also can be clutch too. And it pops up at different moments. So like I want to go back to the game where we came back against the Cardinals, and you know they're talking about oh he's making some they're doing like the dink and dunk passes. But we managed to come back, and then we actually got a chance because we received the onside kick. So you're thinking, okay, let's see him do something, and then back to the inconsistent one, Bryce one where it's like, oh, I can't even pass. And I think what's going to happen is good teams, they're going to jump on Bryce early, and they're not going to let him, you know, work things out. They're not going to let him do the yeah, yeah, no. They're gonna keep going at him like how the Patriots did. And you see, hey, Patriots are a little bit better than what people thought coming into the season. and see what it seems so far. I think good teams are just gonna, be like, okay, we got the lead. We're not gonna go into prevent defense. We're gonna keep going at them because this is obviously rattling Bryce, and I think Bryce knows. I think he's afraid to throw deep because he feels like, oh, it's almost like he's telling himself it's going to be inaccurate. And yeah, yeah, you good. It just with his level of play, it I would look at Bryce and I say, you know what, man, if I'm Dave Canales, I'm saying, okay, I see what Bryce could do. Man, if I had Justin Herbert, or if I had uh, I'm trying to think of Matt Stafford. If I had even maybe even throwing like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, even one of those. Just if I had a guy with a little bit more talent, if I had a guy with a little bit more talent and a little bit more confidence, like this offense, I think I get this offense to really take off and be, better than what is, we've been showing. And like, you know, the thing is, I think with Bryce, I think Dave Canales has the right idea. You have to play Bryce as like a backup quarterback. Like, hey, we're gonna run the ball, we're gonna keep running. Even if we're down 17, 20 points, the run is gonna have to help because I can't trust you to pass us back into the league fully. Like you might, we'll call a couple pass plays, but really the run game is going to help us win. And like yeah, right. We were down and he bust open a 70-yard run, and then he broke open and think about if uh, the Chiefs were down 17-0 and Kareem Hunt ended up with 200 yards and Patrick Mahomes only threw 100 yards. You know, would people attribute that comeback to Patrick Mahomes or would they attribute it to Kareem Hunt? Uh, I think more people would expect Patrick Mahomes to have 200 yards plus passing and to lead that comeback. And I think what I learned is Bryce, he can't lead, even though he's a quarterback, he can't lead the team. He's like a complementary player in the offense. And we have to, I saw this joke saying, somebody saying, like, we're going to have to play like the Vikings when they had Christian Ponder at quarterback and Adrian Peterson had the 2,000-yard rushing season. Like, listen, we running it 50 times a game. Christian Ponder, yeah. Just hand me the ball and get out the way. You know what? Let me see what Christian Ponder's stats for that season. Yeah, Mm-hmm. 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 It's it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for him to get over that. I don't think he'll be able to. I think what they're gonna have to do is okay, he's doing his passes in the 10 to 15 yard line at the most. Uh, we need to be doing a whole lot of motion and moving people around because we're gonna have to do something to throw the defense off from because they're just gonna basically keep everybody up front, and that's gonna make it harder to complete those passes. So we're gonna have to do something to uh, basically play in with an advantage because we basically don't have the deep ball. We don't have, the advantage would be, hey, if I send, my star wide receiver deep 1-on-1, he might be able to get like a 40-yard pass plus. We don't have that. So what they're gonna have to do is like, hey, if I motion, this wide receiver and keep, this, he might be able to break open early and get a whole lot of yards after catch. And, we're going to have to hope that one of our wide receivers really becomes a great yards after catch wide receiver. Because right now, T Mac, he's very smooth. And I'm hoping Xavier Legette can be that guy. Either him or Jimmy Horn Jr. Just you know, catch at the 1 yard line, can juke and make some people miss. We need one person like that at wide receiver, and because I think what I do like at running back, I do think a hard running running back helps Bryce out immensely. Like in Chuba, him and Rico, like I said, I don't even think Chuba's been getting the ball as much as he should. Him and Rico, hopefully they're able to, get a whole lot of carries when both are healthy. And like I said, we're gonna have I hope we do, man. That's the crazy thing. I hope, you know, I hope we keep him, 1 or 2 year contract. And I'm looking at like Rico, Chuba, and Travis Etienne, Jonathan Brooks. Uh, hey, we might see what he can do. Maybe might have to trade him or yeah. So hey, he could listen. Maybe he could contribute somehow. But I actually hope we do keep Rico because you know Rico could actually become a leader for the offense. When they interviewed him, he just talked about, setting the tone, the passion and like, wanting to work hard. And, we really need that. There's a whole lot. Yeah. Right, right, right. And Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I hope so too, man. And I'm really hoping, uh, like there's ways to coach um a quarterback that's like limited in his passing repertoire. Like, okay, I think there's things Bryce can do. Like if he's, really, really, big on anticipation and like quick passes, we can switch up and do plays that he can excel at. And you know, what we'll have to do is it's like how the 49ers have a system that's good with like Brock Purdy, and then you even see like Mac Jones excelling with them. Um, we have to just have a really, really good quarterback friendly system for Bryce, and hopefully that could build him up to at least, at the very, very least, be you know, decent to above average quarterback that can make plays, and just him being able to do that should make him successful. In that 2012 season, Christian Ponder, that was his best season in the league, and he had like I think about like 18 touchdowns, but like the same amount of turnovers when you count like interceptions and fumbles. And he didn't play well. Like I said, Adrian Peterson carried them 2,000 yards rushing, carried them that season. And, the sad thing is, after that, you know, he didn't play well. And, what I just learned by reading, after the Vikings let Christian Ponder go, even though he was in the league for 2 more years, that was it. Like he became like quarterback number three for 2 years and for two other teams, and then retired. Yeah, so he basically hmm Man, I'm surprised Ian Thomas is still in the league. I could have. He's with the Raiders. I thought for yeah, I thought for sure he's overrated as a blocker. That's that's something he can do, but he's not a good. Yeah, he just like he can block. Let me say it like that. He can block. So he's not like yeah. He man, I think he got has something on the franchise, and they're like yeah yeah. Well listen, I don't know. Yeah, and he's with the Raiders. He's I don't know if he's tight end number three or what with them, but hmm hmm yeah, and I'm thinking for something to be excited about. When Jalen Coker comes back, obviously Bryce Young uh, trusts Jalen Coker. He hasn't hit him well, but he trusts T Mac. I think if we get that and Xavier the Cat keeps playing well, and Jimmy Horn Jr. Like I said, I'm hoping Jimmy Horn Jr. leapsfrog Hunter Renfro because for whatever reason, Bryce and Hunter Renfro can't get on the same page. hmm And but yeah, it could. But you know, yeah, I think you have to just for this season, you're just gonna have to do like literally just shift everything to as comfortable for Bryce as he can be. But me right now seeing that, I'm looking at hey, what all the free agent quarterbacks are next season, like or is I know nobody's really thinking about a trade, but you consider like hey, how much you think it'd be to get to this certain quarterback in Carolina. Um, yeah, and like yeah, I remember they said something about Lamar Jackson. When they didn't, when they were dangling, re-signing him. Hey, make some calls like, hey, uh, what do you offer? Yeah, some, yeah, maybe not that crazy, but just I would be looking at. Listen, next year I'm drafting a quarterback. It don't have to be first round, but I'm drafting a quarterback and I'm signing a quarterback, and it's like in my mind, one of them should be able to beat out Bryce. I'm not. Yeah. hmm And you know, I'd say look into that. hmm It, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. That's you know, people. You got to understand, man. Before Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, they drafted him. Carson Wentz was the starter. He was a recovering starter, and they gave him the job based off how Jalen Hurts looked in preseason. And you can't just lay down and say like, okay, here you have the job when the rookie hasn't proved, the player hasn't proved anything. And you got to constantly be looking at who's this next guy I can get, who's this other player I can look to throw in there, and especially when someone's not elite. And Yeah. Yeah. It, mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I wonder. I said, it makes me wonder a whole lot. Like, it's Panthers. Like I said, just still a whole lot of questions, and yeah, just in general. And but like I said, I did get that feeling too. Like, hey, if this game would have stayed 17-0, that was the final score, somebody was gonna be gone. Somebody, somebody's gonna be gone. And yeah, something, yeah. That's hmm yeah. And like I said, if I mhm. And I know Dave Connors, they do their little Monday meetings with David Tepper. If in my Monday meeting with David Tepper, I'm like, we won, but let's talk about 2026. And I'm like, listen, be transparent with, like, hey, we probably need to really get a new quarterback next year. And Bryce could technically, yeah, like, hey, Bryce could technically still be on the team. He's under contract, but it's like, listen, we got to swing for the fence. We can't just hand him the job. We see, okay, he had like the little decent run at the end of last year. Obviously, like I say, it's too inconsistent. There's too many limitations. I really think if I had this quarterback that could do a little bit more, maybe our offense would be a lot smoother. Maybe we could do some more things. So if Canales is the coach, he can be. It's like, listen, let me try two other quarterbacks. It could be, Zach Wilson or Sam Howell. You have him sign basically a project quarterback. I ain't gonna say a project, but just a quarterback, and this quarterback has to basically have the physical gifts. Both these quarterbacks like can't just have average arms. Both of them gotta have yeah, yeah. It can't be a pro. You know what? And like I said, the free agent quarterback can't be a project like that. It got to be like even if he struggled before, we see the talent with you, like with Baker. Baker struggled with us, but people could still see he was talented, even with the Browns. And then yeah, just didn't know what to do with him. Just like with Sam Darnold, even Daniel Jones. You see, yeah, we we need some. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some more quarterbacks. Like, it could be Shador. Like, hey, let's trade for Shador in the offseason. Let's trade for him. Throw like a six rounder. Mhm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. It's like Te- Teddy. Yeah. Teddy Bridgewater. He Teddy Bridgewater is like a better version of Bryce Young. Um, prime, especially prime Teddy. He still like he liked to pass short, but Teddy Bridgewater still had the arm to pass deep, and it's just that he just had a natural propensity to pass short, and before he had that knee injury, he still had confidence. So I think yeah, like I think Bridgewater he had a lot of hate with the Panthers, but he was actually we had 2,000 yard, what 3,000 yard wide receivers under Bridgewater. Yeah, we messed up. Bridgewater should have been the perfect bridge quarterback. Like imagine like going from Bridgewater to like Jordan Love or like trying to think of quarterback around. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, doing that instead of like, oh no, we're gonna trade for Sam Darnold. Oh, we're gonna trade for Baker. Just Matt Rule was in over his head. He just didn't know what he was doing. And and yeah. Hmm. So I'll just say this one more time. Before we get to the next, just man, like you said, retired. I do think, like I said, in the future, and like I'm talking the end of the season, I think they're gonna have to look at the quarterbacks, and I think they're gonna have to look at somebody like, let's say, Mac Jones with the 49ers. Like, hey, they're probably gonna keep Brock Purdy. Are you willing to trade for Mac Jones? Like you're gonna need somebody with potential, like are you gonna, we might have to trade for that potential, and because we're gonna need somebody, like I said, that actually showed something, and yeah, it's proven at least somewhat, and we might have to trade for it, and we might have to trade for that, or trade for Shador, and like I said, I know Panther fans don't want to hear that, but we can't go in the season with it like Bryce, Andy Dalton, and let's say we draft a rookie. Can't do that because Dave Canard's not going to be able to stick with the rookie. Like the season, yeah. Um, if we it has to be somebody with some, like I say, consistency, Bryce, and a high rookie with potential. So like yeah, yeah, he shouldn't. Hmm. And like I said, I gotta look at some of these other quarterbacks, but it got like I said, it got to be somebody with potential because right now, like I said, we might be able to. I mean, we're gonna have to see the rest of the season make it work. But if things stay the same, Bryce is so limited. Uh, it's like if the Broncos stuck with Tim Tebow instead of getting Peyton Manning. It's like, yeah, you want to play a playoff game with Tim Tebow, but he's so limited and inconsistent. Uh, if you like, if you get this one, the good, great quarterback, we could take this team to the next level. And that's what. Hmm. So yeah, so we'll see. Now, but on to this week we got the Cowboys playing them at home, and I believe I saw the Cowboys got the number one offense in the NFL. It's either them or the Colts. Listen, man, that's gonna be one we losing to the losing to the Cowboys at home is not an option. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, man. The defense is gonna have to play hungry, and like I said, Rico is gonna have to play hungry, and you know, we know Cowboys. They actually got the number. I could believe number, like I say, top five passing um, offense. Uh, like our secondary gonna have to be hungry. Like everybody's gonna have to want to prove a point, and that's where coaching comes in, and that's where the players come in. They're starting this new player led thing with the Panthers. If that's gonna make people hungry, make the players hungry, let's keep the player. Yeah, yeah. We like I said, we need some. Hmm. And I like I said, they gotta keep their head on the swivel because you know, we could actually, between, if we win this game at home, we're undefeated at home, 3-0, and then we play the Jets after. You could we could turn this, yeah, right. We could turn this, right, right. And like I said, we it's yeah, we need to look at like, hey, we could actually have a winning season if we it could start here. Uh and the player's gonna have to be hungry. Like, listen, we're tired of losing. We're tired of losing. We just came back and won this game against the Dolphins. We're about to play a much better team. Let's be hungry, man. Let's shock the Cowboys, even though we're playing at home, and let's like I said, let's turn this thing around. Cause I'm gonna tell you, it's a couple games. Like after that Jets game, it's not gonna be you know, that's when we get some rougher games. Cause we got the Bills after, and then a whole lot of yeah, and a whole lot of division games. And if we have that energy now, when those division games come, we can you know, do a repeat of the Falcons game. And that's like you said, just say the end, say that's all I want to see. Listen, I want them to play hungry. I want them, to really be dogs like Dan Morgan like saying. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause it's CD. Yeah, cause it's CD Lamb still hurt. Cause if he's out, then number one is Quentin Johnson, and that's who JC needs to be on. And but they yeah we need to come hungry, and like all Bryce need to do is like, listen, man, don't worry about turnovers. I feel like he's getting in his head thinking about turnovers. No, worry about winning the game. Focus on that. Don't even worry about, oh, I can't make a mistake. No, I want to win this game. If I do this, it's gonna win this game. Like, don't wait till we're down to get that mindset. Like, have that mindset from the get go. We're gonna win this game, and you're not even worried about, oh, if I what if I make this mistake? Yeah, right. And, and mhm. We need some effort games because it like even if we lose, if we show effort, it'll show in the game. Like it's like, oh, okay, I could tell those boys played hard because that's what we saw with Steve Wilkes. Like that later season, we saw that the players were playing harder than what they were playing before, and just very very underestimated ability by coaches. Uh, can your coach get the most out of you to play hard? And that's you know right now like focusing on your offensive playmaking ability and your exos and stuff. Um, okay, no problem. Like I say, so big brother Jay, cameras out, but like I say, we can still hear you, man. Um, it's just can you get the most out of a person? That should be one of the top things for a head coach. And but um, yeah, we it's the Cowboys. We'll see. That should be the number one reason why we shouldn't lose. It's the Cowboys. Like, come on, man. We're playing at home. You know what? That could be our thing. We don't lose at home. When's the last time? I can't remember the Panthers having that mentality since Cam's MVP season, our Super Bowl season. You remember we had the the fan of opposing team had their banner up and he tore it down. Hey, let's build that. We could build that mentality back. Hey, at least we're gonna win at home. Like um listen, I would love that, man. It just this gonna be a real interesting game. Cause if I will say this, if we get our asses whooped, um this is what Panther fans are gonna say. They're gonna be mad we actually won a couple of those games because they're like, oh, our draft pick isn't high enough to get like a top three pick, and we sort of know or believe we won't be a playoff team. So yeah, yeah, so like if we get like let's say we get like the number nine pick, Panther fans are gonna be upset because it's like, oh, we should have lost and got like the number number three or number two pick. Um, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. You know, the only way it's acceptable is if it looks like our young players are, you know, showing, learning, and playing better, even if like I said, lose the season, and if we don't have to worry about quarterback. So if you know, like I said, if some like crazy reason, let's say like we got I'm like some quarterback like let's say we had Josh Allen. Now this not going to happen, but let's say at the end of the season we was able to get Josh Allen. Oh, if I got the 12th pick, oh, I can, I'm trusting our genes and process to build around our team because, like, the young guys playing well, and I believe, I got this quarterback. He should be better than Bryce. That's all we want him to do is be better than Bryce. So then it's like, okay, we can look at all other positions. Let's look at middle linebacker, something else, D line, like, it'll be wide open. It's just that, I, depending on how the season goes, I would say best player available, are, a big thing with the PFF guy, Eric Eager, and, his team, you know, whatever process they have, keep at it. If they say like, hey, this draft is really strong in this one area, and we're gonna, sort of draft around that. Um, I wouldn't mind that because, like I said, I feel like it obviously worked this past season, and it's like I could immediately tell this recent draft was different than every other draft we had up until then. Like, like I could tell something was different. Hmm. Yeah. Oh. Mhm. Right. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you can check you can check it out, man. For the longest I remember during the John Fox days, they used to always throw a tight end, saying, "Hey, we need to get a tight end," and and like, man, John Fox, like, listen, man, that them not knowing John Fox, listen, John Fox was like, "Hey, I got Chris Magnum, I got Jeff King, I'm good. Like, I'm not worried about you know." trying to get like a good receiving tight end. He was like, "Hey, I got Jeff King, I got Dante Rosario, Gary Barnish. He was that third tight end, and then he showed receiving potential, and we just never used him. Then for 1 year he had an elite season with the Browns. He probably could have done more with us, but hmm Devin Funches. Mm-mm. Like hold on 1 second. Let me check my earbuds. My bad. Let me see something. Hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. I could work with this one ear, but I think my left one died out. But yeah, man. I don't know, man. With Dan Funches, like and like I said, when we go like previous draft deep dive, you're gonna be surprised who we could have got during those two drafts. And that was the one draft we look at Calvin Benjamin, but the draft after with Devin Funches, you'd be surprised who we could have got instead of Devin Funches. And mhm. and like this crazy, one crazy thing about him is, in an interview he did after, he said he never loved football. Like he always thought he was going to be a basketball player, and I think he's even playing basketball overseas. Yeah, but it's like, how did none of our scouts get a read on that? But then, around that time, uh, between him and what's the tackle name? I'm talking about the guy we drafted in the second round. But he was known for being soft. Yeah, Greg Little. Yeah, like how did yeah, yeah, like the second round, it's like guys, it's like, hey, this guy, he doesn't like, we should pick up on, okay, this guy doesn't love the game of football. Nah, I ain't even gonna waste this high draft pick on him. Or like Greg Little is like, okay, he's a tackle, but he's soft. Your old lineman is known for being soft. Nah, man, I can't, trust you to be a left tackle. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I know you talking about. Mm-hmm. Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, I, yeah, I don't know what Herney was thinking about. But like you said, he was playing corner in college, and you think he's gonna have the extra oomph for safety, or like even just the like you said, that type of awareness. And like I said, we took a we you know we took a lot of liberties. Like, we still do. We take a lot of liberties with players, and it's like, oh, this guy's never done this before, but we hope he's gonna be able to do this for the Panthers. And like let some of the other franchises take risk on them type of players. Like, let us get some, like, hey, this guy did this and this. This should translate into the league. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like, hey, this guy was known in the league. He was a known safety. He did this in college. We thought we could do this with the Panthers. Not like, yeah. mm, I don't get it either. Just you know, and I just say this, that's why we've had times when we try to D tackle at offensive tackle. We tried quarterback at wide receiver. We like I said, we made a lot of egregious errors in the draft, and looking back, it's like, why would we even do that? But it was Panthers, man. But yeah, we ain't gonna hold you to my what. So what's the big takeaway you want the fans to think about? It's Tuesday, probably around, Thursday. What's the big takeaway you want the Panthers to fans to have, like, for this upcoming week? Yeah. Oh yeah, and to let y'all know, you know, the motto is where Southern wit meets gridiron grit, and that's what we're all about. So just this quick, I just want listen. What do they do next? Listen, we came back and won. Are you going to continue that momentum? Or are you going to just say, oh, okay, we did that against that team, and now we're back, back to the same old. So that's what I want to see. That's what I want. That's what I'm taking. Which team are we going to get against the Cowboys? Because listen, so like, listen, if you do the same old, it's going to be a long week, because taking an ass whooping from the Cowboys, uh, that's going to ruin my week for the next 3 weeks. So Yeah. Yeah. hmm All right, man. That's what I'm saying. Listen, we're ended on that, man. That was it's your boy, like I say, Amazing A. Listen, I'm out of here. What? All right, man. Well, listen, y'all guys take it easy. Listen, we'll try to put something out for this game this weekend. You know, we're gonna be active. Let's hope the Panthers go ahead and keep pounding and get this win. All right. That's it, fellas.